Hello everyone, I hope you're all keeping well, healthy and happy. In this video I wanted to talk about the impending Me Too backlash which is coming in 2018. In fact, it has already started in a great many ways. You see, what started out as a very real concern regarding rape and sexual abuse in Hollywood and in political positions of power has now descended into complete hysteria. And the people that are driving this, as I'm sure many of you have noticed, are extremist feminists. Okay? And the big problem with all of this is that they are also misandrists. Right? And how do we know this? Because we get them claiming that people's innocence does not matter. If someone falsely accuses someone in the public eye or just in private life, if someone was falsely accused, then we're told that their innocence does not matter by these extremist feminists, these misandrists, these man-haters. Okay? And that's a very big problem because there is such a thing as due process. There is such a thing as a legal system in most civilized Western countries. Okay? So if we forgo that, if we say, well, the law does not matter, or a person's innocence under the law does not matter, and the law does operate under the concept that a person is innocent until proven guilty, thereby the evidence must be presented by the accuser, okay, or the prosecution. Those who are making the claim must substantiate the claim, right? That is reasonable, it is logical, it is what the entire legal system, as I say, is based on. But if we do away with that, and if we don't even take into account circumstantial evidence, and in fact we say that every accuser should be believed regardless of whether there is evidence or not. And in fact, in many cases where there is no evidence, the accuser should still be believed. This poses a very, very big problem. Right? Now, understand that I'm not saying that people who have done things should not be prosecuted if there is ample evidence, and I'm certainly not saying that where there's strong evidence of rape, let us say, or of sexual abuse in the realist sense, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a second, then things should be done about that. But where people are claiming that they were sexually abused because someone touched their knee, or someone spoke to them, or someone was in the same vicinity as them, because these feminist misandrists are now classing those incidents as being equivalent to rape, which is a really, really troubling thing. Okay? So, what does that mean then in those circumstances, you see? Because if you say that touching someone's knee or touching someone's arm is the equivalent of raping them, well, then there are many men who have had women do that to them. In fact, to use myself as an example, there are many women who have grabbed my knee or have touched my arm, and even, in fact, my crotch, without my consent. So, should all of them be in jail? You see, the other thing is context matters. Okay, context matters. And so what we have is a situation in society where these misandrist feminists have invented a brand new game of their own from their own imaginings. And nobody knows the rules to this thing. Okay? And this is why, because women can bring frivolous legal action against someone for doing something which is not actual sexual abuse or not rape in any way, shape, or form, then men are becoming rightfully fearful of this. Okay, because the power of the state is behind the legal system if these misandrist feminists choose to use that. You see? So, what is happening right now is that there is a gender schism developing in society. And many men actually no longer want anything to do with women. Okay? It's almost irrelevant whether an individual woman would bring something frivolous like this to destroy a man completely, to destroy his life, his career, his everything, right? And it's almost completely irrelevant, as I say, whether that is the case or not. But the bigger point here is that a woman could do that. And so many men are actually turning to this philosophy of MGTOW, as it's called, men going their own way, which is to say they keep their own company and in their own council, and they don't have anything to do with women. In fact, most of these men won't even be in the same room as a woman if it can be helped, because of the danger of these types of things. Because these misandrist feminists are literally trying to send men to jail over ridiculous things. Now, there are cases, and it is important to keep in mind, right, in balance, there are cases of actual rape. And those should be dealt with properly. And we can't hold that to the same standard, right, as someone touching someone's arm at a Christmas party. They're now talking about doing away with Christmas parties because they're afraid, companies are afraid of frivolous lawsuits being brought against them. Sexual harassment lawsuits. Is spiraled out of control. This whole thing is spiraled out of control. But, as I say, it's creating a schism in society because men will segregate themselves automatically from women in those situations where they're being accused of things that are objectively untrue or may objectively be untrue. Okay, again, it depends on the circumstances, but the point here is that this is insane. Okay, it's insane to just accept a woman's word or a man's word, actually. It's insane to just accept someone's word without evidence when looking at something that is a criminal action. And so this hysteria, this outcry, is... People are seeing through this. Men are seeing through this. Women are seeing through this. Authentic women, right? They're seeing through this. Authentic men and women are looking at this and saying, this is batshit crazy. You know, and the other point about all of this, by the way, is that the Me Too hashtag doesn't seem to apply to men and boys who were abused. Does Me Too apply to men and boys who were abused? From what I've been seeing, there's very little coverage of women who have abused their power in their positions to sexually assault or rape men and boys. Okay, this is the double standard. Very recently there was a female politician who was accused of sexual assault, and the media gave that almost zero coverage. Now, in the manosphere, this is referred to as gynocentrism. We've got a gynocentric society, right? And it's completely imbalanced in that respect. But there are people being thrown under the bus. There are people being mowed over by allegations that can't be substantiated. So they're unsubstantiated allegations that are ruinous. So, I think we need to exercise a little bit more caution, but the backlash that's coming with regards to this is going to be major. Because, as I say, there's already this schism between the genders, and it will grow. I had a friend of mine's very recently on social media ask a very interesting question. And that was, why are men so angry? Okay, why are men so angry? Men are angry right now. I am angry right now. Many other men are angry right now. As I say, many of us are having nothing to do with. We're refusing to have anything to do with women at this point. Because we are seeing what is going on in society, and we are seeing that women are abdicating their own responsibilities, particularly these feminist, misandrist man-haters. They're abdicating their responsibility completely, morally speaking, right? Any moral responsibility they have, they don't want to take that on board. What do I mean by this? Well, if they're not concerned, as many of them have stated, if they're not concerned with the well-being of a man, or his innocence, or the potentially life-destroying consequences that a false accuser might bring against him, not only is that malevolent, but it's immoral. They're not living up to their moral responsibility as decent human beings. So, this is why I'm saying that the backlash is going to be immense. And it's going to be very, very bad. It's going to be very dangerous for men and women alike, but particularly for women. Because it means that their potential chances of finding a partner in life are going to decrease dramatically. Okay? All the successful men, all the men who have made something of themselves are going to distance themselves from having any contact with women. The men that are the best of the best, which is what women generally, at least in this current paradigm, seem to look for. Material wealth and success. Okay, social success, financial success. Those men are not going to have anything to do with women because of the potential devastating consequences. They won't even speak to them. Now, the tradcons, that is to say the traditional conservatives, are going to get outraged about this. Many people that are extremely right of centre are going to get outraged about this because they believe that marriage is one of those things that should be promoted. But here's the problem. The legal system is completely skewed against men in marriage. Right? And now the deck is being stacked against men in many other ways as well. And the power of the state is being misused to the point where men are looking at this and saying, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Okay? That's what's going on. And it's going to get bigger, this backlash. It's going to get bigger and bigger. And you're going to see that there are men and women, right, that are authentic, that are going to look at all of this and say, yeah, no, that is nonsense. Okay, and men in particular, as I say, are not the least bit happy about any of this. The mistreatment of boys, the mistreatment of men, this war on men that has been waged by the far left for decades. For decades. Weaponizing women against men. right? And this is the thing. I mean, I don't think that these proponents of feminism in its extreme forms, its subverted forms, as I've spoken about many times, I don't think they fully understand or grasp the fact that they are shooting themselves in the foot. Men and women have different attributes. Men are better at some things. Women are better at other things, we're told. Right? So, again, this is biologically, objectively true. There are certain differences physically between men and women. In general, of course, there are exceptions. There are the outliers, right? But by and large, these differences mean that men and women look at things very differently. But objectively speaking, you cannot have a situation where you are taking away or demolishing the importance of the role that men play in society. You cannot demonize all men and then expect them to continue to do what they are doing to help society to function. You see, this is the big thing. Society only functions because men step up to the plate and they do what they need to do for the most part. The worst jobs on earth, men do those. Okay, more men die in dangerous jobs than women. Okay, 90% of these dangerous types of jobs are done by men. Right? And who goes to war? Who fights on the front lines? It's always men. Men die in war. You know, and society doesn't respect men whatsoever. Right? The goal of this society, which is gynocentric, it does not respect men in the least. And this is the thing. So this Me Too hashtag is the latest assault on men, on masculinity. It is the latest assault. So it's little wonder that men are looking at this and saying, well, why should we? Why should we bother to do anything to save civilization, to save society, to take our responsibilities seriously when these feminist, misandrist women are not taking their responsibilities seriously? They're voiding the social contract. But I don't want to get too off topic here. The main thing I'm trying to emphasize is the fact that this Me Too hashtag, although it started out with noble intentions, it has devolved into hysterics. It has devolved into a witch hunt. It has devolved into a hatred of men, a hatred of boys, a hatred of anyone else other than women who have experienced actual rape or sexual assault. And it makes a mockery of actual sexual assault and rape by promoting this insane idea that touching someone's arm or touching someone's knee is the same as raping them. See, a lot of people don't know where this idea comes from in the younger generations, but this started with the second wave feminists, and I covered them extensively in one of the uploads on this channel. But people like Andrea Dworkin, who was a vile excuse for a human being, actually pushed this agenda. Because she had this insane idea that all sex is rape, even consensual sex. And what that did was it opened the door to the slippery slope into the belief that even the slightest physical touch is rape. See, if any of that is true, by the way, then men touch other men all the time, right? So does that mean that we're sexually assaulting each other? It's ludicrous. It's insane. Or is it the case that women have to be treated with kid gloves? That's the other thing, right? The feminists say, oh, we're empowering women, but actually what they're doing is disempowering them. They're making them a victim class, as if they have to be wrapped up in cotton wool. So make your minds up. Either women are strong enough and empowered enough to be able to say no to a sexual advance of any kind, if it is a sexual advance, or they're not. And things just happen to them. Right? I mean, it's lunacy. But the backlash is going to happen now. And this is where we're going to see the implosion of society happen as a whole as well. Because many of these ridiculous accusations have zero evidence behind them. Especially when this conflation happens between, as I say, touching someone's knee and raping someone. It's a completely different ball game. It's not the same ball game. It's not the same ballpark. It's not even the same sport. But these misandrist feminists would have you believe it is. It's madness. But as I say, men are going to start avoiding women altogether. And what does that mean? Well, I'll leave that to you to decide. But I thought it was important to bring this to your attention because many people aren't aware that this is going on. Anyway, let me thank you very much for watching and for letting me share my thoughts with you. I hope you're all keeping well and you continue to. Take good care of yourselves, and God bless every one of you.